Thank you. For a moment there, I thought I was in the wrong reception. All those wonderful things. Good evening. You know, when Megan Hansen called me to inform me that I had been named for this award, of course, I graciously accepted. What I was really thinking, what was in the back of my mind, and what I really wanted to tell her was, what took you so long? But in all seriousness, as teachers, most of our recognition comes from the satisfaction that we receive when our students learn. For instance, you know, when I walk around my classroom and my students are working in groups and I hear them talking, and what they're talking about is basically they're teaching each other what I've already taught them. That feeling is second to none. That's our recognition. Nevertheless, every so often, not often, but every once in a while, it's really nice to be honored. So I am honored and I am humbled for this recognition. And I would, of course, first of all, like to thank God for having bestowed upon me the gift of teaching, and to my family for putting up with me for so many years. Of course, I'm extremely grateful to Street Law for this honor, and for McGraw-Hill for sponsoring this event. Bhavika, thank you so much for your kind words. Hearing her voice brings back so many memories. See, she was on my mock trial team. You told him that, right? And she had this very unique and powerful opening statement for defense. She would boldly go up there and she would hold her hand up and she would tell the judges, "None of you can say you've seen my hand." What is she talking about? You must be thinking. And then she would go on to say, "Well, none of you have seen my hand because none of you have seen the other side of it." And she would go into the defense side. So it was unique and it was powerful, and that came back, hearing your voice. Of course, I'm grateful to Coral Gables High School and my students, and I have to mention them, I have to thank them, because if I don't, I'll never hear the end of it when I go back. So thank you, first period, second period, third period, fourth period, fifth period, sixth period, seventh period, and eighth period. Thank you. Because of you, I'm here. Let me try to paint a picture of what Coral Gables is like. We're a large high school. We have roughly 3,500 students, most of whom are Hispanic or of Hispanic origin. And I thought I knew my school. I thought I knew my students. I thought I was sympathetic to their cause. At the start of this year, our principal had the unique idea of taking the teachers, putting us on a bus, and giving us a ride and showing us the neighborhoods that we serve. Needless to say, I was shocked, I was in awe, and I was saddened to see where some of my students come from, where they live, who lives around them, and it was a true eye-opener. Coral Gables High School, back in 2008, made the transition from a traditional high school to what we call a small learning communities or academy-based high school. At that point, the principal approached me and said, "Sir Garcia, your program needs to go from 2 years to 4. My answer was, "What?" But again, I turned to Street Law. And thanks to Street Law, I had all the materials I needed to add 2 years to the curriculum. So I've added constitutional law, which, by the way, I have fallen in love with our Constitution, our founding fathers, the way they think, the Federalist Papers and so on, and legal aspects as well. In addition, Street Law introduced me to the Legal Diversity Pipeline program. And that is just, and Viveka touched upon it, that is just an amazing program. We are partnered with the University of Miami School of Law, and the law students come once a week, present lessons. And we're also partnered with an extraordinary group of attorneys and group of individuals who work for Building Sundberg. And Jay Sakalo is here from Building. And they come for a 2-3 week period. They also present lessons. And then we culminate this activity with field trips to both the law school and the law firm. And let me tell you, I can tell my students till I'm blue in the face what the legal profession is like, but until they actually see it, until they actually experience it, until they actually have hands-on, they really don't know what it's like. So that is just an amazing program. So these individuals are what I consider non-traditional teachers. And all of you here, all of you are teachers. You're all non-traditional teachers. And your words have power. I see a lot of young people here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, a word of encouragement or a word of discouragement can have an impact that will last their entire life. Words of power. One of the things I like to do as a teacher is I like to tell stories, and my students love my stories. So if I could share a story with you tonight, it's the story of Edward. Edward was a student of mine many, many years ago. And I remember the first day of class, he came into class and he said, "Mr. Garcia, I want to be a lawyer." And I said, "Edward, if you work hard, if you apply yourself, if you study really hard, I have no doubt that you will one day be a lawyer." And this went on through the entire school year. "Mr. Garcia, I want to be a lawyer." And I would always give him the same answer. I'm ashamed to say it, I didn't believe it. Every time he would tell me this, in the back of my mind, when pigs fly. A few years ago, my wife and I were at a wedding reception. And this gentleman comes up to me and hugs me and says, "Mr. Garcia, I'm so happy to see you. I've been meaning to visit you, but it's so, so good to see you." And I stepped back and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. Who are you?" He said, "It's me. It's Edward." And then I remembered, I want to be a lawyer. And I said, "Edward, it's so good to see you. What have you done with yourself? What are you doing?" He reached into his coat pocket, he pulled out a card, and he gave it to me. And I read it. And it said, "Edward Hernandez, attorney at law." And then he looked at me and he said, "Mr. Garcia, you were the only one who believed I could do this." "And thanks to you," he said, "today I am an attorney. I am who I am." So, ladies and gentlemen, words have power. Words have power. I could never forgive myself if I didn't mention some of those non-traditional teachers in my life. Please bear with me. To my parents, particularly my mother, who taught me the meaning of integrity, not through just words, but through example. My father, the hardest man I've ever met, the hardest working man I've ever met, taught me the value of hard work and instilled upon me something that I'll never forget and has been with me always. Every problem has a solution. My wife, who's here with us tonight, the love of my life. We recently celebrated our 28th, did I get that right? Our 28th wedding anniversary. From her, I learned the value of having fun, of leisure, of travel. Thank you. From our children, my son and my daughter's here tonight. Hi, Janelle. Who we consider our greatest accomplishments, From them, I learned empathy. So tonight, I'd like to end with a poem, if you will please indulge me. This poem has motivated me as a teacher and continues to motivate me. It is entitled Molders of Dreams, and it's by Clark Molinoff. And it reads as follows. Teachers, you are the molders of their dreams, the gods who build or crush their young beliefs of right or wrong. You are the spark that sets aflame the poet's hand or lights the flame of some great singer's song. You are the God of the young, the very young. You are the guardian of a million dreams. Your every smile or frown can heal or pierce the heart. You are 100 lives, 1,000 lives. Yours the pride of loving them, and the sorrow too. Your patient work, your touch, make you the gods of hope who fill their souls with dreams to make those dreams come true. Thank you very much.